GMs spoke to the media last week. A lot of stuff was said. Who is lying about their draft plans and who is being sincere? We put on our investigative caps and we tell you the truth. We tell you what teams are really trying to say. So buckle up. It is time for the debut of Smokescreen or Sincere.
Well, you said GMs. Now, the first one on the list is not actually a GM. Head coach of the Denver Broncos, Sean Payton, said he'll only draft a quarterback if he really loves him.
Do we have to draft a quarterback? You'd say, man, it sure looks like we have to draft a quarterback. And yet, it's got to be the right fit, the right one. And if we had the tip sheets as to who everyone else was taking, it'd be easier to answer that question. And so that's the puzzle here.
What you don't want to do, Mike, is force it. And, otherwise we'll be in this position next year and the years after. So you want to get the right player at 12. Our first pick we got to hit on. Whether it's a quarterback, whether it's a tackle, receiver, you name it. We need to get an impact player.
That voice you heard second was the GM, George Payton, as well as the Broncos, both echoing the same message there, right? We're not desperate. If a quarterback is there, we like him, we'll take him. But we want to get the pick right, and we could go elsewhere outside of quarterback. That's a smokescreen. The Broncos are desperate. They are desperate to get a quarterback in the first round. Number one, I can promise you this. Coming off of last year, there is 0% chance Sean Payton is going to 2024 with Jarrett Stidham as his starting quarterback. No shot in hell. He can't say he's desperate because he's going to open himself up to then get ripped off by a team like the Cardinals, a team like the Chargers, maybe even the Giants or the Patriots if they want to trade down. He's going to get ripped off by one of those teams because they know the Broncos are desperate. So you got to put on a face of we're not desperate. We might not even take a quarterback. Smokescreen. They're taking a quarterback. And also, too, I think going to this year, he's not on the hot seat by any stretch of imagination. But there is pressure and heat on Sean Payton to have a good year. Right? I mean, think about it. Last year, he had the comments about Nathaniel Hackett being the worst coach he's ever seen, basically, and then lost to him. You had the whole Russ disaster of a year, and then how it ended where, I mean, it wasn't Sean Payton specifically, but it was Sean Payton, the front office, basically threatening to take away Russ's injury guarantees if he didn't sit out the rest of the year, and that ugly ending. I think there is urgency to turn this around, and I don't think if you're Sean Payton, you can afford to go into a year with Jarrett Stidham as your QB and essentially punting on 2024. So while they say they're not desperate, Ryan, I'm going to say it's a smokescreen. They are desperate. Really fast here before we go to number two. To your comment about Sean Payton being the head coach, not the GM. He's not the GM in title. And we just heard the GM, George Payton, talk. Ironically, same name. Sean Payton is not the GM, but he's the GM.
Yeah, and that's why they're going downhill.
Well, that's why we'll say this. That's why Russ ain't on the team.
Well, he's not on the team because he's bad at football. Or he's not good at football. He's okay.
Eating the record, yes. But eating the record dead cap in order to get a bad player off the team. If you had to ask me who's the catalyst in doing that, was it George or Sean, which Payton wanted to get him off? I have a strong inclination Sean was the leader there. And George is more the yes man.
Right now it's looking like both Paytons are very bad in Denver.
Not great.
But you mentioned this earlier. Patriots, you say they don't need a quarterback this year. Eliot Wolf, the GM of the Pats, says they're open to trading up or down.
We're open to anything, moving up, moving down. We're open for business in the first round and in every round. We have some holes we feel like we need to fill in the draft, and we're a draft and develop team. The more picks we have, the better. But if there's an opportunity to move up and strike, if the board kind of recommends it, then we won't be afraid to pull the trigger on that either.
I think what he said is sincere. Not that the Patriots are not trading up at the first round. They're not going to number one, and they're not going to number two. But I think they are open to trading back for number three and not taking a quarterback. I think that's the right move. Like, we talked about, like, Eliot Wolf kind of talked about, like, they're a draft and develop team. Right now on offense, they don't have a lot of good drafted offensive players, and they've not developed anybody. And so I don't think putting a young quarterback in that situation is good for their growth and development. So if you're the Patriots and you're Eliot Wolf, especially in your first year as the Patriots GM and now calling the shots of the draft, I think you could absolutely, too, if you can, number one, get a good price. Right? There's going to be a lot of teams, the Vikings, maybe the Broncos, the Raiders, even maybe the Giants, if they're desperate enough to get a quarterback and number 3 is open. You could get a good haul for trading the number 3 pick, get assets, get extra picks, and also start to build your offense first while then trying to, get it ready for a quarterback to come in a year or so. So I think Eliot Wolf is being sincere when he says we're open for anything, but especially trading down. I don't think the Patriots are locked in number 3 whatsoever. I don't think they're locked in and taking a quarterback, nor do I think they should be.
Smokescreen or not?
Sincere.
Ooh, okay.
He is sincere.
Buffalo Bills, as a Jets fan, it's good. They finally traded away Stephon Diggs after rumored destruction, messed up locker room. But the Bills GM, Brandon Beane, thinks they still can succeed without a number 1 receiver.
What you need are guys that, in this offense, that are smart, versatile, selfless, and can make the plays that their skill set allows them to make. And if it's a tall guy that's going to, Josh is going to throw up a 50-50 ball, he's got to come down with it. If it's a guy that we want to get the ball in his hands and when we need some rack, he's going to do that. I think that's what we're looking for. If there's a one that pops up either in, free agency or draft that makes sense for us or a really good two, we'll do it. But I don't think having a one or not having a one, Matt, doesn't mean we can't have success, on offense or as a team.
I'm going to answer this differently here. I'm going to give 2 answers. I think Brandon Beane in that answer is being sincere. I think he truly believes we will need a number 1 receiver in order to win. I pray that this is actually a smokescreen. Because if he's being sincere, I think he's wrong. He's flat out wrong. Look at the Bills, Ryan. Why have they come up short in the postseason the last few years? It's not because of Josh Allen. It's from the fact that they can't win unless Josh Allen does it all. Right? Josh Allen has to run the ball, be the leading rusher. He has to, make tremendous passes, throw guys open. Everything is on the shoulders of Josh Allen. We have seen now for years that is not sustainable to win in the playoffs. It wins in the regular season, but you can't go into a playoff game saying, Josh, be the hero, carry us 3 or 4 times in the playoffs and expect to win a Super Bowl. It's failed every time they've tried to do it. And now you take away Stephon Diggs, like you mentioned, Ryan, before, a lot of off-the-field chemistry issues, and his on-the-field play just was terrible after week 6. But, you need a number 1 receiver because you need to take stuff off the plate of Josh Allen. Look at the Bills right now. They have an inconsistent run game. James Cook is solid, but look at the playoff game against the Chiefs. 4th quarter, after gashing the Chiefs all day long in the run game, 4th quarter of a close game, could not run the ball whatsoever. It was all again on Josh Allen. The defense, old and injured, can't rely on it. So if you look at the Bills right now, they can't run the ball when they have to. They can't get a stop on defense to win a game. It goes back to Josh Allen. And you can't sit here and tell me, if you're Brandon Beane, that you expect to win multiple playoff games with Khalil Shakir and Curtis Samuel as your top 2 receivers, no run game and no defense. I mean, am I wrong here? Could someone make it make sense? Can you explain the game plan on that right there? Less talent on offense, no number 1 receiver, asking Josh Allen why you say every year we want to take more off Josh Allen's plate, actually add more to his plate, and without a defense you can trust, how is that going to lead to a Super Bowl?
It's because the power of friendship will lead them.
I mean, so that's why I answered the way I did. That clip right there should be a smokescreen. And that should be, a way to signal, hey, we're not desperate about getting a receiver in the draft, but we're going to try to surprise someone and come up. In reality, though, I do think Brandon Beane is being sincere I think he truly believes that he's going to be able to win this way. And that's just that's foolish. That's what that is. It's foolish.
Okay. Either way, just note that. I think he's just saying that to support his team.
Do you think it is? You would say more smokescreen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Deep down, he knows that they can't win with Curtis Samuel and Khalil Shakir as their two. Granted, you have two great tight ends, but that he knows they have to get someone. So maybe Cortland Sutton, someone like that. So they're working. Brandon Beane's working. A team that nobody's actually talking about. I don't think anybody talks about the Cardinals in the draft. They're kind of sitting in oblivion. They have Kyler Murray.
Which is ironic. I
know. GM Monti Ossenfort said they're open for business in the upcoming draft.
There'll be a big neon sign that says open, and we'll, I don't like it blinking. That kind of messes with my eyes, but yeah, we're always going to be listening. I think, we'll always have the conversation. We may not get to a point where the deal makes sense, whether it's at 4 or anywhere we're picking, but we're always going to have the conversation. And if it makes sense and if it's attractive to building our team, and then it's something that we'll certainly consider no matter where we're at in the draft.
That should be a smokescreen. That, to me, is a smokescreen. I don't think Monti Ossenfort is telling the truth there. Here's why. You said it before. The Cardinals at number 4. Do they need a quarterback? No. They have Kyler Murray. Do they need to trade down to get more picks? No. They have 11 picks in this draft. They have 2 first-round picks coming back from when they traded back last year, and the Texans moved up from number 11, I think it was, to number 3 to get Will Anderson Jr. That was the Cardinals trading back. So they have 2 first-rounders this year. They have 6 picks in the top 100. They have the draft capital ammunition to get a lot of players on this team. They don't need more. Sit at number 4, take Marvin Harrison Jr., and call it a day. Like, at some point, you need to stop collecting picks and start collecting talent. Especially if you are going to rally around Kyler Murray and have him be your franchise quarterback, which Arizona has given every indication of that happening. Let's start getting some real talent on this team. And at number 4, assuming the Patriots either sit there and draft a quarterback or they trade out and the team trading in is drafting a quarterback, you are going to most likely have the pick of the litter of the best non-QBs at your disposal. Take that to your advantage, draft Marvin Harrison Jr., and try to get yourself basically Larry Fitzgerald 2.0. I don't think Monti Ossenfort, I don't know why I can't say his name. Monti Ossenfort, I don't think he's being serious when he says that they're open for business with a non-blinking neon sign. I think what he just said there, smokescreen.
Okay, and finally, a team that, in a weird way, is tearing everything down. They have a quarterback of the future in Justin Herbert, the Chargers. This is their GM, Joe Horitz, if they would consider trading back in the draft.
If we're going to trade away from great players, there's got to be a reason in terms of value for us.
So is there a benchmark for you, like a specific benchmark as far as return that you need to get in order to pass on one?
Sure. There's certainly, it's too good of a deal because of what you're getting back. Yeah, they have to make it attractive for us to move away from those players. The whole, it's a fair trade, it's a wash. I don't think that's a trade that we're interested in.
No, look, he's being very sincere there. He's basically telling you it's going to take a lopsided deal for us to move off number 5. And I think he's being truthful. And here's why. Jim Harbaugh is going to build the Chargers like he built Michigan the last 3 years, which is toughness in the trenches, physical first, and then kind of, get the finishing touches last. So it's funny because you see a lot of mock drafts and it's all Brock Bowers or they need a receiver. Jim, you look at how Michigan won the last 3 years. Jim Harbaugh did not care about receivers, did not care about, great quarterback play. He cared about offensive line and defensive line physicality, building the trenches first, and getting a physical brand of football 1 through 53. That's what he's going to do. So I think if you're Jim Harbaugh, and you're, in this case, Joe Horitz, the GM, you are looking at toughness, which means you're looking at offensive line, specifically offensive tackle. Joe Alt out of Notre Dame is going to be the first tackle off the board. You have Olu Fashanu as well from Penn State. a highly rated left tackle as well. Your goal here is to get a tackle in the draft. Unless a team comes to you and says, we're going to give you 2 or 3 first-round picks, I think you sit there and you draft toughness. And so it helps that it is a deep tackle draft, and it helps that I think receivers and quarterbacks are going to go high in the first 10 picks. Like I think you could realistically see 4 quarterbacks and 3 receivers go in the top 10 picks. So that pushes down talent if you're going to trade back. But I think Joe Horitz said what I said that the Cardinals should be thinking about. These are premier talents when you're picking the top 5. It's going to take an absolute haul for you to pass on getting one of these guys that could be a cornerstone for your team to accumulate more draft picks that you hope work out. The Chargers have more flexibility to trade down than the Cardinals because, again, they're looking at tackle, where I think the Cardinals are looking at receiver, and you can't trade too far down, I think, if you're Arizona, and risk losing out on at least the top 2 receivers, which for me are Marvin Harrison Jr. and Rome Odunze. But I think if you're the Chargers, they are building this team from the inside out. So if you are a Chargers fan hoping they're going to get a receiver, or you think that, oh, well, no Keenan Allen, no Mike Williams, they have Justin Herbert, of course they're going to go receiver, I would hold your breath. I think they're going offensive line. They're going to go build this Chargers team, even though they have Justin Herbert. They're going to build this Chargers team in the eye of how Jim Harbaugh built Michigan. Toughness, physicality, run game. That means offensive tackle. At pick 5, if they trade down, they're still going to be able to get, I think, a tackle pretty high in the draft. So I think when you hear Joe Horitz say, we basically have to rob someone, fleece them in a trade in order to move down, I think he's being sincere.